Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so we will start now while probably some of the people will be coming in. Okay, so this is Jaslyn Bay, Managing Partner of BlackStorm Consulting. Thank you for taking out time today with us. And before we begin, let me go through the agenda and some housekeeping rules for this session. Today, we are going to talk about the future of the internet and the infinite opportunity. Okay. So this is the agenda that I will be, introducing about IOX Business Hub. What is that about? And also Ray will be talking about the MightyNet Hardware Express program. So for those who are interested, especially hardware startup, you can actually apply for this program. Okay. So afterwards, we will actually have like 5 speakers with us where we'll discuss about the future of internet and the infinite opportunities. At the end, we'll have an open discussion. So if you have any question, feel free to type on the chat box. Okay. So these are the speakers, which I will get them to introduce themselves later during the panel discussion. So I'm Jaslyn, and we have Ray, CEO of MightyNet, Paddy Tan, the Managing Partner of BlackStorm Consulting, Terence Ng, the Head of Global Software Services of Lenovo, Alfred Siu, Co-founder of TechGundu, Mr. Tata, the Executive Assistant to Chairman Begamax, also the Director of the Bing Tuan, Science and Technology Industrial Park. Okay, so here are some housekeeping rules that we will appreciate your cooperation today. So please mute your audio and turn off your video throughout the session. Feel free to post any question at the chat box. We will address them during the open discussion. And the session will actually be broadcasted live on Facebook at IOX Biz Hub. Okay, if any one of you have not followed that, you can actually follow that over there. So please share with your peers who actually benefit from this session. Okay, so we will also be recording this session. Yeah, so if you have any queries or any technical difficulties, please feel free to contact Shelby. Okay, on the chat box there are actually some information about Shelby. Okay, so now without further ado, I'm going to introduce a new initiative that was launched recently and also the main organizer of today, the IOX Business Hub, which stands for Internet of Infinity Business Hub. Okay, so this is the hub that we focus on helping businesses to grow at an accelerated rate and also ensuring the technical and the business element of your companies are well taken care of. Also globalizing businesses and helping companies to innovate are actually our main focuses. Okay, so one of the founding members of this hub is actually us, BlackStorm Consulting, and also MightyNet. Okay, so BlackStorm Consulting is actually a Singapore-based consultancy firm that we actually help businesses to scale in Southeast Asia. We are actually operating in Singapore, Thailand, Bangkok, Taiwan, Malaysia, as well as Hong Kong. Okay, so MightyNet is actually a Taiwan-based manufacturer that is running for around 30 over years. So having facility in both Taiwan and China. So they are also running a hardware accelerator program, which we will actually explain more later in detail. Yeah. Okay. So these are the few types of membership apart from the founding members, which is BlackStorm Consulting as well as MightyNet. We also have like partner members who can be organizations who actually provide perks to the community, okay, or individuals, okay, who would love to actually mentor this community. So if you have this two group of people, please connect with the founding members to indicate your interest. The membership fee will be waived for the partner members, and it will only be by invitation only. So associate member will be those registered companies with more than 1 million USD annual revenue. Ordinary member will be less than 1 million USD. And also the both associate and the ordinary members will be for the corporates, for the companies. Okay, so if you are individuals and would like to be part of the community, you can also feel free to join us. So as part of the launch promotion, we'll be waiving off the first year membership applications, of course, with some terms and conditions in place. So connect with us to find out more details. Okay, so but to ensure that we actually provide good experience to the hub members, we will also need to screen through the membership application with a simple set of requirements. Okay, so you can read this screen over here. This will be also up on our website soon. Feel free to actually indicate your interest by scanning the QR code there. Okay, so like for example, we need to ensure that the company are actually in the business of technology or is moving towards it. And also, if you are the partner members, you need to be providing, special perks or some services that is actually relevant to the hub. Okay, so yeah, so anything you can actually feel free to reach out to us to check it out. But please fill out the form if you are interested, and we can actually contact you for this. So these are the current group of partner members that we have. So each actually providing special perks to our members. Like for example, we have Esprenia, who will be sharing, giving you access to some courses about entrepreneurship. Okay, so we have 01 is actually an MVNO, some sort of like providing telco services, which you can actually have special rate if you go via the hub, to apply via the hub. So MB Alliance is actually for to help you to scale in Taiwan. So if you are interested to actually scale in Taiwan, feel free to reach out to us and them. For Tech Gundu, which is one of the speakers today, so it's actually a media house, which you can get special perks if you would like to actually hire some media services. Okay, so the last one will be Privacy Ninja. So any data protections or data security related stuff, you can actually reach out to them. So all this is available on our website. Okay, so what can you get out from this? Okay, so we will also have networking events, including members exclusive like pitching session, some marketing opportunities, like for example, being interviewed by our partner members, SPN, which is Esprenia. Okay, so special exclusive perks like free courses that is valued even more than the membership fee will be released to you on a monthly basis. So these are some of the perks. So for more details, please refer to our website. And lastly, as a member, excluding the individual, we will also be listing your profile on our page. Okay, so here are some activities that are already in pipeline. But more details will be released at the later stage on our webpage or social media. Okay, so BlackStorm Consulting will be recruiting our virtual business and entrepreneur launchpad program, which I will explain more later. And also for MightyNet, Ray will actually explain more later. So there will be a Singapore and Thailand virtual exhibition, which we will be announcing soon. Please connect with us to get more information. So if you are on Clubhouse, let's discuss and also network on the bi-weekly basis. So scan the QR code to join the club that we have for IOX Business Hub. Okay. So of course, what's so special about all this is also we have this member exclusive content. Like for example, so now we can't travel. Okay, so how about having a virtual tour on some factories or even places outside of our home country? Okay, so this is also part of the member exclusive content and event. Okay, so as I mentioned, the Launchpad program. So I'll quickly go through, but of course, more details can be found on the website. Okay, and okay, so these are some sort of like a light program by BlackStorm Consulting, a light consultancy program. Instead of like signing up for the full suite consultation, you can actually go through this subscription-based program, which you can cancel anytime. Okay, so every month you will actually go through these activities. So this is the virtual business launchpad that is for businesses, which you can actually involve up to three members from your company. Okay, so like for example, we have activities like virtual consultation where you can actually speak to consultant privately. Okay, virtual on-demand masterclasses, pre-recorded courses with templates that you can actually apply on your business. And also virtual sharing where you can create more exposure, like for example, participating in event like this. Okay, so so the next one is actually a virtual entrepreneur launchpad that is for individual. So for those who are just starting out, and you may want to check out this program. Okay, so more details can be found on the website, and this is an overview of the differences between these two programs. Okay, so for virtual entrepreneur launchpad, we are actually offering 50% off for the first 3 months for students, unemployed, and retired member to help you to kickstart your venture. Okay, so we will send this over to you if you have actually registered via Eventbrite for this event. So here are our past members, which we call them Stormers. They are from more than 3 countries. So you can check out our website for more details. Okay, or fill in the interest form or speak to us to assess whether these programs are for you. Okay, so there will be a first month trial also for the first 50 members with some terms and conditions apply. Okay, so I'm done with this introduction of iOS Business Hub. Now I invite Ray to actually share about the MightyNet Hardware Express program, mainly for the hardware startup.
Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear us?
Yes, can hear you.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to join the IOX Business Hub and the Ray Tai from the MightyNet. So the MightyNet Hardware Express is actually supported by the Taiwanese government. We have actually have the innovation center in Linkou, which is north of Taiwan, and they allow the star and venture capital and also accelerator incubator journeys program as well. So MightyNet actually is inspired by the magnet, a magnet net that continually attract hardware innovation. We are trying to build a strong community of the magnet attract user. So we started a program from the 2019. It's a hardware-based accelerator program. We are focused on the last mile of the innovation uh, and keep good idea and opportunity in this network. Next. So let's talk about our history. So we are actually from the Might Electronic Group. So we found our company by the 2086, so already over 30 years. And in 1996 and 2008, we set up the two facility in mainland China. Then we started MightyNet as a new business unit from the 2016, and afterward, we are grow very fast. We have the two sales office in Taipei and also Tainan, and also we have the two R&D office in north of Taiwan as well. And we are going to build up our new headquarters, and let's start construction last year, and we will start the new headquarters by Q3 this year. Next. So about the location in Taiwan, we are a Taiwanese company. So in Taiwan, we have around two facility and four sales and R&D office, and totally around 200 people in Taiwan. And in mainland China, we have around 600 to 700 people with two facilities. So totally is 1,000 people in our group. Next. So, what kind of customer and client we service before? We actually focus on the overseas business a lot. The 41% they are from Europe and 38% is from North America and rest are from Asia. Not just Singapore, it's some of the very well-known Taiwanese brand like Acer, like a MediaTek, which is ICT side house, and D-Link, and Wistron as well. In Europe, we have the one unicorn client, which is Sigfox. It's a France-based unicorn. And in North America, we have the Ubiquity, which is one of the unicorn as well. Next. So let's talk about the first unicorn we made. We started cooperating with Ubiquity from 2005, and the founder is Robert Pera. He left Apple and founded Ubiquity with 30,000 US dollar and start cooperating with us in the same years. And uh, and he grew very very fast. And after 6 years, Ubiquity Network IPO at Nasdaq with a 3 billion valuation as a Hardware unicorn. And he also now he is the top three of the telecommunication device company. Uh, so its shipping volume is number one of the world. And 2014, Robert Pera became the top 10 youngest billionaire in the world. He also owned an NBA team as well. So next. So we actually provide a one-stop innovation service for our client and how it's so the people are understanding if you are going to create your product, you probably have the concept we call the zero, and with the one, you need to build up the first prototype. And the start, they have lack of the resource to build up their own prototyping. So we actually can start the engineer validation phase to help them come up the concept to the prototyping. And afterward, there are a lot of the phase to from the prototyping to the mass production, like the design validation. For example, you need to build out the real engineering sample, mechanical tooling, molding. You need to do the layout. You got to consider what kind of certification you need to use for different country. And the next phase is a small run. We call the production validation phase. So you need to build out the probably 100 or to 200 a piece, and you need to understanding how to build up your testing and function, and you need to fabrication your layout. You need to do the reliability tester, and afterward you need to go through the mass production, and you need to consider how to improve your array and how to do the value analysis. And afterward, it's the final logistic. You need to manage your warehouse, how to find the forwarder carrier to ship your good. So it's a lot of the keynotes that you need to be pay attention during this phase. So MightyNet actually provide one start how innovation service from the 0 to 1 and 1 to 100. Next. So we are very focused on the two different fields. The first field is the networking, we call the IoT device. So we our capability can help the start to build up the different wireless module, like a router, switch, hub, and also the high power radio frequency antenna and some sensor kits and the industrial IoT system. Next. And another part is the automotive products. We also build up the different kind of motor, actuator, body control module, along system for the automotive for car. So there are a lot of uh, capability and expert team to understanding how to proceed and how to make the automotive products. Next. So let's talk about our program. So we have the two batch this year. So the program we are started registered just last month, and there will be the two batch. And the first batch will be from the March to the August. The second batch will be the September to the January next year. And we are looking forward the four technical category. The first one will be the IoT, of course. So if you are the team, you are focused on different IoT solution like the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, 4G, LP WAN, SIGFAS, LoRa, and BLT, is welcome to join us. If your team are the sensor expert or you are going to build up your sensor, we have knowledge to help you to build up the air quality, water quality, and a stereometer, driver, and location sensor. And if your device need to link to different cloud like the Azure, AWS, or GCP, it's also welcome. We have a lot of knowledge and team to help you to link different kind of cloud. And we're also very focused on the power consumption. If you are energy harvesting or renewable energy team, it's also welcome to join our program. And it's a fourth field we are looking forward. Last page, please. So if you are the industrial, your product is related to the smart healthy care, logistics, or factory or agriculture, it's welcome to join us. Yeah, next. So what will be expected from our program? The first one will be we will have our team to do the engineer validation and also the design verification and the pilot production development and media service and the Howard Challenger Talk Forum, and also the workshop for expert and business matching. So you can have a lot of benefit from the 8 different area next. So the first one, we will have our team to understanding your need and then analyze what kind of device or what kind of solution you are looking for, and how to do the proof of concept, and we will make sure that all your technology or all your device is pass our engineer validation and the design validation. And we can also do the very small run, like 20 piece to 100 piece. And finally, we go the mass production. And after the product is mature to do the production line, we also provide some marketing resource for you. Next. So it's our team member. We have around 40 people to run the How Express program. Is a key member. We have people and engineer and expert there from different area, like the industrial design, community, hardware and software, and also the business side. Next. So the goal for the MightyNet is the one-stop shop to link all the party from the chip solution to the cloud service. So we can help you to assess our partner like the MediaTek or Microchip, very, very famous IC design house, or different chip agent, WPI group or WP group, and different kind of design house relate to different industrial like medical device or automotive device, and of course different certification lab. And most important, we have our own manufacturing capability, so we can provide our production line for you to test in and run the small bench in our production line, and also the link to different cloud service. Next. So we are a lot of partner because Taiwan is actually the small island, but we have a very strong ecosystem here. We have different incubator, venture capital, and also different technical partner in our ecosystem. So we can help you to access different kind of ecosystem in Taiwan very quick and very soon. Next. So the goal to help the start is actually from the 3 different phases. The first phase is make sure the idea and the innovation is the business plan is good. Then secondary, we can help them to do the R&D, research and the development, and do the manufacturing, do the supply chain. And finally, we find the right sales channel, find the marketing, and do the next product forecast and the roadmap. So MightyNet is very strong in second phase, but we need a lot of partner like the Betamax, like the BlackStorm, which can help us to build up the real whole ecosystem for the hardware. Next. Uh, on the other side, we actually provide our factory as a testing ground. So there are a lot of customers, they use our facility to test in their sensor, test in their solution, like smart factory solution. So we already built out different kind of precision sensing, water quality sensing, power sensing, and real-time location system in our facility. Next. And from the 2006, we started MightyNet. We already served 150 Huawei star. Next, they are from the four field, as I just mentioned: healthcare, factory, logistics, and agriculture. Next, they are also from the 12 different countries since 2016. And for the timeline, as I just mentioned, the application period is the first batch is from March to August this year, and the second batch is September this year, and then January next year. And we will provide different kind of training and technical forum and the demo day, and all their portfolio. They can be the part of the MightyNet community for the lifetime. So it's a detail for the timeline. So we will have different consulting service and training, technical forum, business matching, and the demo day will be the January next year. Next. Yes. So if you are interested to build up your own hardware, or you are interested to have the smart factory solution, smart healthcare solution, or agriculture or logistics, welcome to join our program. Uh, I believe to assess our program will be the shortcut to build up your own IoT device and entry the Taiwanese hardware ecosystem. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ray. Thank you, Faye, for the sharing. Okay, now we are actually starting the panel discussion session. And today we are very honored to have like guest speaker from various field of businesses, 3 different countries to discuss about the topic of the future of internet and the infinite opportunities. Okay, so before we begin, let's invite each of the speakers to have a 1-minute introduction of themselves. And maybe probably we can start with Mr. Terence first.
Let me unmute myself. Hi, Justin. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone, wherever you're calling from. This is Terence. I head up the Lenovo Global Software and the Services Organization. As Lenovo, we are a very strong hardware company, but you hear us talking about that later, our transformation, how we are moving into the future of internet with the software subscription, our solutions and vertical space. A lot what Ray mentioned just now, the smart IoT, smart retail, smart verticals are part of what we are envisaging to us. And I'm happy to have this conversation today with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Terence. Mr. Alfred Siu.
Hi everyone, Alfred here from TechGundu. I'm the co-founder and editor of the media site that covers technology from both the consumer and business user perspective. So yeah, we've been in a business for more than 10 years now. The website myself, I've been reporting on tech, telco, and media news for more than 20 years. Previously, I was with the Straits Times before I started my own site with some friends in 2008. So TechGundu is a site that covers basically everything tech, from PCs to 5G to IoT, cloud services, obviously. So yeah, I mean, we cover a breadth of stuff, everything that's digital for both the consumer and for both the consumer and as well as the business user.
Yeah. Okay, Alfred. Okay, Mr. Data.
Hello, everyone. My name is Duc. My great pleasure to be here to join the panel so that I can learn from all the very esteemed speakers. My name is Duc. I currently with Baker Max, which is the leading industrial park and township developer in Vietnam. So our core business is to help manufacturers to come to Vietnam to set up the manufacturing activities. We have our industrial parks across the country, starting from the south with a cooperation with Samcop from Singapore to set up a JV, Vietnam Singapore Industrial Parks. And until now, we have expanded our footprints to the northern key economic zones and and also in the central, and of course in the south in Bình Dương, where is our headquarters. So over the years, over the past 25 years, we have been developing our ecosystem to provide a total solution for manufacturers. So here, our company is not manufacturing, but we are supporting manufacturing companies when they need to set up manufacturing activities in Vietnam. So not only the land, but also the technical infrastructures with transportation connectivity, with telecommunications, with utilities, with energy supply, etc. And also we also taking care of the social aspect of the business when they need to attract labor. So we provide housing, provide township, we have provide healthcare. We have 2 hospitals and also 1 university. And so that is the ecosystem that we are have been building, and now we're also very interested in exploring to venture into innovation ecosystem. So happy to be here, and I hope that we have a very interesting discussion going on. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome that. Okay, so we have Paddy, which is my colleague. Yeah.
Yeah, hi, this is Paddy Tan. I'm the managing partner of BlackStorm Consulting. So my role is actually quite straightforward. I'm more involved in the business development and strategizing. So together with my team, Jessin and Shelby, as my partners, we actually started this company through a spin-off where we focus a lot more in helping company to structure and scaling, especially now in this pandemic, which we actually work with quite a lot of clientele. They have plans to come into Southeast Asia. So which is why we are very fortunate to work with partners like Ray, Alfred, with Lenovo, and also with our Vietnam partners to be able to help them, clientele to structure their business, and also to ensure that the strategies actually fits, especially now with these pandemic situations. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Ray, do you want to further introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Ray again. I'm the CEO of the MightyNet. As I just introduced our company, I actually very focused on the hardware and IoT field, and hope to help more and more the hardware startup, or you are a big enterprise, but you are interested in the innovation relate to the IoT. We are welcome to cooperate together. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so welcome all the speakers. Okay, so I will start off with the first question. Okay, when we talk about internet, the next big thing that actually comes to most of our mind, or at least like pop up in our mind, is actually 5G. Okay, so we actually see a lot of like news about multiple players actually announced that the plans to delay 5G deployment, not only because it's pandemic, also because of like geopolitical, privacy, and many other factors. Okay, so what's your view on the development of this technology, and how do you think like the current development status of 5G actually affect the rest of the tech companies' development? Okay, so maybe perhaps, I mean, Terence, you sort of smile, so perhaps you would like to share your view for this question.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for asking. So I think this is a good question in the kickoff of today's forum, right? So when you look at 5G has immense potential and opportunities, right? Ranging from increased bandwidth, faster speed. It makes collaboration and creation much faster on the 5G networks. Why I'm smiling? Because at Lenovo, 5G is the centerpiece of our strategy moving forward. Our always-on connectivity and computing is a path we're blazing, right, with our adoption of ultra-fast, low-latency laptops that we're making with connectivity through a lot of partnerships and VNOs out there. In terms of that, 5G service providers around the world, we have partnerships with Verizon, EE, Sunrise, and CMCC. But really, the hardware is just the first step. We believe these strategic partnerships will help to accelerate this consumption of 5G across the world, right? And this can ultimately help to disrupt the PC industry in our sense, right, for the better. But let me give a few points and facts down here. When you look at data, we look at Renault did a lot of research on this one with global data, for example. We predict that in the region in AP, 1.1 billion of our mobile subscribers will account for 65% of the world's 5G users in 3 years' time by 2024. That's massive, right? The growth will accelerate. GSMA report that the forecast on 5G deployment in APAC will reach about maybe 331 billion by 2025, right? So to answer your second question, whether it will disrupt or delay the development of 5G, it may take time for 5G to reach a scale. And I think the rest of the panelists can comment as well, but this hasn't slowed down interest from what we're seeing in private dedicated 5G networks aimed at enterprises, right? We see a huge demand for it, and only time will tell in this year whether 2021 will be the year of the 5G that everybody talk about. But I think it's all the more the reason for carriers, telecommunication partners, OEM manufacturers like Lenovo who are differentiating and transforming out there to work on rolling out 5G technology, devices, and solutions across this. Yeah. I'll leave it up to the other panelists to comment as well.
Yeah, thanks for the insights. Okay, so very happy to hear that Lenovo is actually working very on 5G tremendously. Yeah. Any other speakers who would like to actually add on to this question?
Yeah, Alfred here. Actually, I think we've seen, you spoke of delays. Actually, we've seen a lot of momentum actually as well, with 5G. In Singapore, for example, I think, the licenses have been given out, and I think, the telcos have been quite active in trying to push the case for 5G here. So I think it's a big leap forward in terms of not just the bandwidth, but also like you talk about low latency, you talk about ubiquitous coverage. It kind of reminds me of the promise of 3G, almost 20 years ago. I was there when 3G was launched, and this idea of always on, always connected, everywhere you go, kind of ideal was something that we couldn't really understand back then, right? But of course, right now we take it for granted, like everywhere you go, we have our email, we have our social media, whatever. So I think, but that's for consumers, right? I think for enterprises, I think 5G is going to be a game changer, because of the connectivity that it provides, that was not possible before. You think about the logistic fleets, the tracking of vehicles, the IoT that's going to roll out in the millions, maybe even billions, and you need a network that can cater to that kind of scale. And I think that's what 5G provides, the scalability that previously we couldn't have. I mean, yes, we have 4G now, we're connecting, we still have fleet tracking right now, we have a lot of that now. But 5G is going to offer that kind of scale that we probably wouldn't dream of deploying right now, maybe 10 years down the road. So it kind of reminds me of the big leap, that we had from 3G. Obviously, 4G was improvement on 3G, but from 2G to 3G, it was a huge jump. And, you could get internet everywhere. You could video your friends. That was something that was unthinkable 20 years ago when we at the moment before we jumped in. So I think we are kind of at the same moment. We would take a while to get past the teething problems, but I suspect we will get there sooner than we expect, seeing how fast we have transformed in the past year, given the COVID situation. So that's my take on 5G. I think it's really going to accelerate in the years ahead.
Yeah, Patty here. I do agree with what Alfred, but just to add on, I think one of the key issue here is that for enterprise usage, I think the 5G will probably be more adopted by the enterprise, by the industry. I think partly it's because especially now we are more connected, as sort of like a connected world. And then with 5G, I think especially in the healthcare, I believe very strongly, especially in the healthcare, where you have like last year pandemic. I mean, we are still in the pandemic, but last year, you want to do telemedicines and stuff like that. With 5G, I think you will probably not sort of like stuck in the locations. But with the 5G, I think with the connectivities going almost with coverage, over time will probably be a bit more. So I think even a simple 5G phone will probably be able to replace those huge and bulky devices, and probably even allows cost to be much lower, and probably the adoptions by hospitals itself or healthcare itself may be able to be providing a bit more all-rounded services without having to invest in very, very heavy equipments that are sort of stuck in the place just to have the Cat 5 or Cat 6 internet connectivity. So I think to just add on to what Terence mentioned under the Lenovo side, I got to be honest, is that a lot of manufacturers that probably took the year off, from last year, to really strengthen their 5G rollout. I mean, I said now, most of us are sort of like already out, able to work, probably except US or some other countries in the world. But you can see that a lot of manufacturers in this part of the world, in Asia, they actually start to roll out what could not have happened last year. But now with the fine tuning, and probably smaller groups of testers and all this, they start to roll out. And the greatest thing is that the integration is probably a bit more comprehensive than previously thought. So I believe once it comes out, I think the biggest group that can benefit other than the consumer will probably be the industry players. Thanks.
So, I mean, since you brought out the point about industrial players, here we actually have Ray, who is representing the the manufacturer. We have Datang, who is actually working very closely with all the manufacturers. So maybe you can hear from their view, manufacturing has been always the essential, businesses, but of course with the fast moving trends, right, in the internet. So how can, manufacturing actually keep up with the demand of the market?
Okay, so I would like to anchor a little bit about the 5G again from the Pavili's point of view. And we also find a lot of demand is actually from the telecommunication company in Taiwan, like Zhonghua, like the FTNet. They are also trying to connect different kind of enterprise and to build up the private network for the 5G network. The reason they are trying to build out the private network is because the public 5G is actually is only for the final user, but the enterprise 5G is actually they are really the game changer for the different industrial. For example, if the all your factory use the 5G network, you probably don't need any cable, any wire for all the machine, all the device, and you only use one protocol to access the one network. So it will be the very simplified all the business rules. So, but to be honest, the most of the base station is ready, but for the application device, like we say, the receiver or the deck, they are going to use the 5G networking. It's still a little bit hard because currently only a few of the device can be the receiver or the 5G. So I think the 5G will be a really good technology we are going to use in the future. But for the manufacturing side, we are still waiting for better opportunity. And in other hand, for factory, the pain point is if you have a lot of older device, the old device only have the older connectivity to link the Wi-Fi or even the different wild Ethernet. So you have a lot of changing costs for the device. So it's also the pain point for the current small or media enterprise or manufacturing who are going to use the new technology. So I think the role of the government is very, very important. In Taiwan, we already find a lot of testing field. They are going to use the 5G network, and the fee for the 5G network in Taiwan is actually very, very cost effective, and the government is supported a lot to provide some POC and some subsidies for enterprise to use the 5G solution. So I think the different government play a very, very important role in 5G technology. It's my point of view. Yeah.
Right. Understand. So really emphasize on, the part where the government actually need to actually be very supportive in deploying such technology, right? So we are at the topic of manufacturing. So understand that in Vietnam, the manufacturing industry is actually booming very fast, okay, in the past decade. So what are actually some opportunities that you actually advise the audience here? So Mr. Datang, would you like to share some insights, and how would you describe the innovation landscape of Vietnam right now?
Yeah, thank you for your questions. I think going through the COVID pandemic, Vietnam has been doing pretty well. One of the top performing economy in Asia that managed to achieve positive GDP growth for the past year in 2020, estimated around 2.9% GDP growth because of the successful containment of the pandemic, and also contribute driven by the very strong manufacturing activities. Last year, I think we still observe the steady export volumes. So despite the COVID-19, we still can reach more than 250 billions of US dollar, and achieve 5.4 GDP growth. I mean, like year-on-year growth for many manufacturing sectors, and also over the years we have been receiving a huge amount of FDI inflow into Vietnam. So since 2019, we achieved like almost 40 billions of FDI inflow into the country. 2021, we observe a slight decline because of the COVID. But I think after the COVID is ending, so will be a shelf, a next wave of FDI coming to the country, especially in terms of manufacturing activities. And we can see that over the past 10 years, there is a strong trend of diversification of manufacturing activities in the country, from traditional sectors like apparel, footwear, those very labor-intensive activities and lower value-added, to more high-tech sectors like automotive and electronics. If we take electronics applicants at a case in point, so in the past 10 years, it has grown tremendously, and at the moment, electronics and electrics applicants is the top export category in the country, checking in more than $100 billion. And growth, I mean, the growth rate is significant at almost 300% since 2017 to until now 2020. So I think that is the very remarkable progression in terms of electronics, intensification of electronics manufacturing activities in the country. You can name the top global top OEM and EMS have setting up their factory in the countries, naming Samsung, Intel for a long time, LG also, and also Google for their big shows, productions, HP, Canon, to EMS global company like Foxconn, Luxshare, Compel, Megatron, Gotex. And you can see that for Foxconn, they also announced some 5 billion 5-year expansion plan in Vietnam, which is going to be another mega factory outside China. And also the same for Samsung. I think they are establishing the largest smartphone production bases outside South Korea. And so I think that is some of the achievement, exciting scenes of manufacturing activities in Vietnam. And when we look deeper to see what are the key drivers of that, so I think firstly, this is about the open economy that Vietnam has been embracing with extensive bilateral and multilateral free trade agreement that we have inked with many international partners. So currently we have 13 FTA, free trade agreements. Most significant and recent one are the CPTPP and EU-VA FTA, EU-V FTAs, which are going to expand the market for producers to set up the production plant in Vietnam, so that they can have they can enjoy very low tax to penetrate to those markets, and also the competitive labor wage. So the current labor wage in Vietnam is about half of China, and in terms of infrastructure, of course, we are still far behind, maybe 10 years behind of China, but improving with more than, in terms of percentage of the GDP, I think we commit to more than 5% or 5.7 GDP in infrastructure investment, which is quite a high number in comparison to other countries in the regions. And also the steady and thirdly is also, I think, also about the steady progress in improving of the business environments. When in the early years of 2010s, we rank around like 100. So currently we rank about 7. So it is also the by, I mean, a lot of effort by the government to cut down red tape and bureaucracy. And of course, at the backdrop of all the initiative, all the drivers was the geopolitics about the risk diversification of global manufacturer when they need to, they want to looking at China plus one strategy and Vietnam's with the geographical proximity to China, so very convenient and very easy for company to relocate their plants outside China to find a new country in Southeast Asia that they can they still can manage their supply chains without much disruption. So I think that's pretty much about some of the insight I would like to share about the manufacturing opportunities in Vietnam. So does it answer the question?
Yes. Actually, there's a question that I mean, us as a consultant, we usually hear from others is, okay, so Vietnam is actually pretty huge. Okay, it's not that small. There are actually quite a number of states. So let's say if I'm a business owner, I want to enter Vietnam. So where should I enter first? Or it might be depending on which industry they are at. So probably could you share a little bit more about, you know, which state would be better for which industry? Yeah.
I think it depends on the industry that they are coming in, and also depends on so that will affect their supply chain. So like when you see at the clustering of in the northern, in the central, and in the southern. So I think at the moment the key markets are in the south, which have been long established at the manufacturing hub of the country, and in the north area. I think a lot of progress in the recent years that pick up a lot of diversification from China, especially a lot of electronic companies have been relocated in the north area. But I think in the south, the advantage is about the business environment and also the cultures and the people, talented people that we can find. So it depends on what are you looking at, which will require much more discussion and consideration. But I think what important is that at the moment, still Vietnam, even despite the strong fundamentals to drive the manufacturing activities, but still there's a business environment is still something that quite challenging for foreign enterprise to come to the country. So that's why choosing a local, a trusted local partner is something that important for them to navigate in the environment, to adapt to the environment in Vietnam. So that is something that I think particularly important when they come in. And especially, I think at the moment, the government also provide a lot of incentive for high-tech sectors, because after 20 years of industrializations, moving up from agriculture to industrial activities, but focus mostly on labor intensive. So now we want to focus on attracting more higher value added, more skill, capital intensive, and R&D activities in Vietnam. So I think those are also among the most attractive industry that will be receive incentive or support from the government. I think maybe I can touch a little bit on the innovation scenes. So in Southeast Asia, Vietnam have been emerging quite fast for the past 3 to 4 years, from almost a country of very little VC funding, maybe around 30 or 40 billion a year. By 2018, I think Vietnam already emerged at the top 3 country to receive VC funding, only behind Indonesia and Singapore. By 2019, so Vietnam surpassed Singapore to become the top 2 country in the regions to receive funding. And I think that has been indicators to show that the opportunities and potential for startup innovation in Vietnam. And with a very strong economy, I mean, a very strong growth of internet economy, with the growth rate almost 50% for the past few years.
Thanks for sharing the innovation insight landscape about Vietnam. Okay, so Beckham is actually pretty much quite a big company. So we know that the size of the company actually does affect the way it innovates. So maybe could we hear from Terence, like how does actually big companies innovate, and what are the things that we should look out for when working with like smaller and agile startups?
I need to unmute myself. Jess, can you repeat that question again? I was replying to a quick question from the forum just now. I was reading
Yeah, I
it.
saw that. Yeah. So how does companies like bigger company innovate, and what are the things that you would look out for when working with smaller and agile startups? What are the challenges? What are the things that we should look out for? Yeah.
How does a big company innovate? So at Lenovo, we have a very strong vision and commitment to a lot of the technology enhancement that we talk about down here, right? But very importantly, partnerships with industry partners, leaders to innovate as Alfred has mentioned just now, the new norm actually has started with digitalization as well. So let me share a few examples, and then Jesse can also share some of the Lenovo story hub that we have it shared with you guys and share with the rest of the team. Like, for example, with this is a very interesting example. We work with a company called Luna, which is actually a Norwegian Swedish company, right? That collaborating on this mission on the moon, for example, 2020. So we don't look at the size of the company. We look at the mission that they're trying to achieve, the objective that some companies are doing, right? And this basically we're using a lot of our technology in terms of ThinkPad laptops that we have with them as they use in their travels, right? And enable this conversation and mission together with the Luna team, right? So this is one example that I can share in that sense. But other than that, coming more back to our home in terms of what Lenovo is driving towards in terms of our IoT business transformation, we have a collaboration with, and I talk about industry partners like Amazon, AWS. Everybody uses their cloud technology. We use the technology to adopt the IoT, the Internet of Things solutions, right? Helping businesses to accelerate the transformation by making IoT adoption, I would say, much more practical and scalable, right? This is really at a pivotal point of this day and age whereby businesses and workplaces are changing the way they operate during the global pandemic, right? So in that case, we also announced a lot of new solution partnership last year, 6 months ago to now, on more than 100 partners across real estate, retail. I think Ray has a lot of examples there. I refer back to him again, right? Manufacturing, Patty talked about healthcare, education, that has changed tremendously over the last year. So, and even transformation verticals, right? Into our Lenovo's IoT system in this year. So, and last one, just now I just shared about the virtual care and the group that Patty was talking about, telemedicine. This is really, really interesting for us. We want to also make sure that we enhance and provide our technology to the mass market so that the message patients will never be alone, right? HIPAA compliance systems that we talk about, configure to protect. Somebody mentioned about security and data privacy is really important. Well, we enable the clinicians in our case with our virtual care to provide what we call ongoing targeted care for a range of conditions, right? Diabetics, COPD. I'm not a medical guy, right? But I think I can roll some of these names here. Heart failure, hypertension, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of interesting examples. But I think the long story short of it is a commitment to this and working a lot of industry partners out there, right? It will help a lot to drive the industry towards the direction.
So we heard the view from the big corporate. So maybe could you hear from like Ray? What are some of the challenges that you actually hear, you observe from the hardware startups when they are facing working with like bigger company? So how do we actually overcome them? Yeah, because you are running an accelerator, so probably you actually work with quite a number of like startup. So I'm not sure whether you hear any story regarding that.
Okay, so I think the nomenclature big enterprise or small to build up the IoT, the challenge will be very, very similar. The first one will be the time. According one report regarding to the Huawei development, so you will need at least 1 to 3 months to build out your first prototype. And from the prototyping to the mass production, the average will be tag around um, 3 to 6 months. So it means when you come up with an idea and to make it real to the mass production or real product, you will take at least a half year or to 1 year. So it's very, very different from the software business. And then the second issue will be you need to burn the money, and you not just burn the time for your development or your engineer. You need to burn the money with your supplier. So to build out the prototyping, you need to find the probably the 3D printer or the small design how to build out the mockup for you. Is a cost for the prototyping. But when you go into the mass production, you need to build out the mold, you need to build out the tooling and a lot of feature and a lot of tool for the mass production. So you always need to burn your money to facility. And secondary, in the third one is the cash flow. When you build out the uh, device and you are going to sell to the sales channel, the cash flow is very important because normally if you are a small star, you need to pay in advance to the supply chain or your factory first. Then the factory are going to build out your product. But when you deal the business with the sales channel, they probably the payment term will be the 30 days open account or 60 days, and sometimes if they are big sales channel, they will require the 90 days. So it means you need to pay to the factory or supply chain in advance, and you are getting the cash back after the 6 months or after the 3 or 6 months. So the cash flow control is very also very very important. And then another issue is how to find the right supply chain. Uh, we are all in Asia, so we are lucky because in Asia we have a very strong ecosystem, like the Betamax. They have a very very strong ecosystem in Vietnam for the hardware for the manufacturing. But in Europe or North America, they are not so lucky to have such kind of ecosystem. So no matter they want to build out the prototyping or go into the mass production, the cost is huge. It's very, very hard to find the good supplier in rest of the Asia. So I think that we actually, as an Asian country, we should use the benefit to build up the linkage for the different kind of supply chain and attract more and more the partner to use our supply chain and build out more device and the ecosystem in Asia. I think this is a real benefit for Asia and in our country. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Some tips that hardware startup can actually look out for. Actually, these tips some of the software company also can look out for, right? Okay, so what are the actually bigger tech trends that this question is for everyone that we foresee in your respective space in the next 5 years? Yeah, and how will it actually change our life? Alfred, do you want to share? Because Alfred is actually running a media company. Definitely there will be a lot of like data that probably have. So Alfred, probably do you want to share some, bigger tech trends that you actually foresee in the next 5 years?
Okay, it's a bit tough to. Okay, I'll try the crystal ball approach.
Yeah, fortune teller.
Which probably going to be wrong in a few years' time. I'm going to be laughed at by people. But anyway, I think 5G, as I said, it's going to be a key foundational technology for a lot of apps and new users in the next few years, because it provides connectivity, for so much of the apps that are going to come out in the next few years. 5G and obviously the other related technologies such as IoT it will be big as well. I think AI and machine learning, the more complex our infrastructure becomes, the less able humans are going to be. The less able, you need more humans, or in fact it becomes impossible for humans to orchestrate or control everything manually. So I think a lot of things will have to be controlled by AI. And for me, one trend that I talked about all these enabling technologies that are gonna make life very different, make industry gonna really accelerate forward digitally. But at the same time, I think with AI, you know, there's also the question of there's this question that I think we all need to ask, which is how, you know, a decision that's made by AI, or rather, how has AI come to a decision, you know, when it makes, you know, whether to decide to do something, to turn left or to turn right, you know, or to prioritize one thing or another. I think already we have kind of lost track of that right now. If you ask a lot of people in the AI field, they'll tell you, I don't know how the AI came up with the answer. Okay, and that's the issue for especially policymakers. I mean, I'm jumping in the realm of policy here. It's okay if we sort of prioritize one server or another to maintain load balancing or whatever. But in future, let's say if the government is to decide, you know, one person, you know, deserves like handout during COVID, touch wood, COVID-22 or something, over another person, how does it come to that you know, answer, right? I mean, like you know, what kind of factors are thrown in, and as has been shown in the past, you know, the AI kind of shows our biases. You know, AI has learned racism by looking at our responses on the internet, on Twitter, which is not a good place to start learning. In fact, it's like a child, right? I mean, you put a child to watch this, what goes on in Twitter is going to learn horrible things. Anyway, sorry. So I think AI is going to be, I feel, one big question mark. You know, all the connecting technologies like 5G, IoT, you know, machine learning are going to really enable enterprises to leap forward, you know, to do things they never could in terms of QC, for example. Let's say for manufacturing, right? I think AI can really, you know, on the fly adjust the manufacturing process. Say for making a tire, for example. You know, tires are like millimeters in difference, and it gets passed or not passed, because car tires, which are very important, you need to have really extreme QC. Imagine if the machine could automatically adjust, you know, the process on the fly. It'll save the manufacturer a lot of money. And just one example, right? But I think at the end, a few years down the road, I suspect more and more people will start asking about AI. Not just that it's taking away jobs, but also like how AI has kind of made certain decisions for us. Because it's going to make more and more decisions as our networks and infrastructure becomes more and more complex and, you know, difficult to comprehend. So yeah, sorry, that's my very big picture sort of philosophical answer to your question. Yeah, I hope it opens up interesting points for discussion.
Yeah, we will jot down all the pointers. Maybe 5 years later, we can get Ray to verify whether manufacturers start adopting. So, okay, any other speaker would like to add on this portion? What are the bigger tech trends that you foresee in your respective space in the next 5 years?
I resonate with Alfred. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Terence, you go first.
No, I resonate with Alfred in terms it's really hard to crystal ball, right? So, you know, I'm putting a link at my president of my Lenovo side. We actually predictions for the 2020 last year and beyond, right? But Alfred raised a very good point. You can look at the article down here. AI, we think will go mainstream for this year. And in fact, at Lenovo itself, we also did another research into the market. Where would 2021 go, right? As we move along, you know, in the next few years. But we see a few things here, and I think it will continue to resonate some of the key points. And I try to put it into maybe 8 different areas, right? I put it in the chat group down here for everyone. So we definitely see the work from home culture, the last 12 months, that has set up a renewed focus on smart collaboration, right? And office setup, right? Everybody has nice big screens and Zoom and Teams and everything at home. And Lenovo is actually embarking on this with a lot of partners, right? Second point now I will touch on briefly is about connectivity, right? So with the work from anywhere culture, I think this is maybe a new terminology. We talk about work from anywhere, whether is it a Starbucks, a Kopitiam, or anywhere, right? A lot of the investment into the hardware technology is important. Things like camera technology. You can see me using a Lenovo Yoga right now, right? Hopefully the camera is good quality and everybody's sharing a lot of Lenovo devices here. Improve audio, collaboration technologies, whether is it Zoom or Microsoft Teams and Amazon Chimes, right? Ergonomic designs, right? Larger movable display screen. IT support will also change, right? Multi-cloud management solutions are now required, right? These are some part of things that we see will continue to evolve and grow stronger in the next few years to come. Lastly, but not, and we talk about 5G, that's why I want to come back to the point. Connectivity is now essential for everyone. I don't know whether everybody feels the same way, but I ran out of my data every time. Nowadays, every month I pay a lot more to Singtel and StarHub.
You can use our partner member, plan
01.
Yeah,
that will be a good
990.
advertisement for them, right? But 5G will continue to transform personal computing. At Lenovo, we see this as a big trend, and therefore in our devices, you can see the roadmap of potentially Wi-Fi 6, right, or Wi-Fi 6E enabled devices coming up when you need the bump in speed, right? Even when you have home Wi-Fi, 20 devices, as I may have at home right now with my children, right? 20 devices, all multiple devices connected one go, right? And even in the consumer space, smart devices, connected home assistants and devices will grow in ubiquity, right, as the prices continue to go mainstream. A lot of trend out here. Hopefully I'm right in 1 year's time, 2 years time, 5 years time, but we'll put it out there and see where it goes.
Eddie, would you like to add on? Thanks, Terence, for that.
Yeah, thanks, Terence. Yeah, Terence, you stole some of what I wanted to say. Okay. So how I see it is that I think while 5G advances, it's coming and it's inevitable. I think we can actually sort of see from what had happened from when 3G jumped into 4G. When 3G jumped into 4G, you look at all the technology and all the advancements that have been made, not just in the hardware, but also in the policies making, and also in the way we human beings adopt on how the things changes, and especially now when AI is on one party of it, when probably see as AI as a threat, then whereas the other party see it as is actually an enabler. I think what I'm trying to say here is I think with 5G it will probably give us a huge leap from what we've been comfortable with in 4G, and then when we jump into 5G. I think one of the things that we probably some of the things that we are some people will probably still be trying to catch up, because the adoptions is you'll probably still be continue to use all your 4G devices and everything. But I think when it comes to the practices, how we work, how we make money, and how we eat, how we live, I think, or even how we actually get our food from the farm to table, I think it probably changes quite rapidly, because with the advancement of the hardware technologies, the cloud computing, it will probably increase in terms of efficiencies and effectiveness. But the question here will always be something like the same doubts that everybody will always have, like from 3G jump to 4G. What kind of protection do we have as a human being? Is our information going to be shared more frequently? I mean, even like now, is PDPA comes in, and lots of so-called the policy starts to come in saying that we are actually oversharing most of our information, whether is it on the social medias or is it on the devices. I think one of the other case that we had been embarking on is that the trace together, like here in Singapore, you carry the devices going around, you scan it, and then who actually collect all this information, and who actually is the government going to be abusing it, or is there any law or policies that's going to come in to protect the user? I think with the 5G, it's inevitable that these are some of the questions that we probably have to resolve it. We may not be able to solve it once and for all, but because if you look at it from the day that we started to use a smartphone until today, it seems like there are more and more service providers who actually capture most of our information, whether is it with intentions or unintentionally. But eventually, if we are going to carry a smart devices or smart watch, any of even including clothing or smart helmet or gantry, whatever, I think the policy will probably have to catch up much faster, which is I think this is where abuses may actually just be opened up. So probably what are the few things that I foresee in the next few years is that there may actually be more arguments, there may be more major policy changes that to ensure that the hardware actually serves the people, and not to flip it the other way around, and result in abuses of human rights, or whichever that it comes in for user who actually adopt the newer technology. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so for hearing from all of you, right, it seems like, no matter what, the technology will kick in, right? So what are some of the advices that you would give to, businesses to prepare themselves with such a, fast-moving technology trends? How do they prepare themselves with all the changes? I mean, like what Paddy mentioned, you see different people probably, some of them, they probably cannot catch up the trends as fast as they are. So how can they actually keep up with the trends? Yeah, this is open to all the speakers. Anyone would like to attempt this? Yeah, so probably Ray, would you want to add on to this insights, this question?
Okay. I think it's very good point of view from Pabby, and the no, every new technology, no matter it's AI or 5G, I think the early stage, the foundation will be the most important things. So you can see a lot of manufacturing, they are still uh, start building their own new we call the open source base station technology like ORAN. So a lot of Taiwanese manufacturing now started build out their open source base station for the 5G. And we also saw some start company, they are start trying to have the new technology to do the testing for the 5G station or 5G step device, because to buy a traditional testing machine or equipment from the Nokia or Ericsson, the big guys from the 5G association is very expensive. So I saw a lot of opportunity. They are start from the very little foundation, like the base station, like testing machine, and how to quality the base station, how to quality your device for 5G. And for AI, it's the same way. So we can see the Google, they provide some development tool, and also the NVIDIA, they provide a lot of basket development tool. Even people are understanding to make the development tool is not make the money, not equal to make money. But in the early stage, you need to have the tool. Otherwise, you cannot have the best to do the application. So I think in the early stage, there are a lot of opportunity to build out the foundation, or like the base station, like testing machine, testing fixture, and also the development tool. That's what I saw from the manufacturing side. But for the application side, it's a lot of use case. So far, the 5G or AI, they actually can adapt to any field you can imagine. But when you going to find the, the field or find the solution, the the point is how much you would like to invest in the early stage. If your client is not ready to understanding this kind of technology, how much cost you would like to change your customer, and people need to well understanding the new technology, and afterward they can start using the application. I think this is a really hard question for the everyone, especially for application.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Okay, so I mean, like you mentioned, infrastructure is very important. So maybe could you ask Datang, you see you have been running a lot of like accelerators and also multiple industrial parks in under Begamex, right? Okay, so in your view, what are some of the advice would you give to businesses so that they can actually prepare themselves to keep up with the changing technology?
Thank you for your questions. I think it's great to be here to listen to the technologies. I would consider myself or BlackStorm is quite kind of a non-technology companies, because we don't really work in the field of manufacturing or but so understanding like learning from what you share is that at the industrial park developer, so we also need to get ready ourselves to understand what are the future needs of manufacturer in terms of, especially in terms of telecommunication infrastructure, so that they can enable them to move into a near future where 5G, where AI, where connectivity, telecommunication connectivity is one of the key essential utilities for manufacturer when they set up their activities in manufacturing. I think that is what we have been also preparing ourselves. We also, one of our subsidiaries also working on telecommunication and have a partnership with the entity from Japan to roll out more like to push up our capability in terms of telecommunication infrastructures, and also providing solutions to our customers so that we can also support them not only when they're setting up, but also how they can set up their factory. So I think that is what we also foresee in the future. And also for us, we also currently running a partnership with NUS Enterprise to set up an Block 31 in Saigon, which is the kind of ecosystem builder, and the global connector, so that we can also attract startup that they want to venturing into Vietnam, and vice versa. We also want to support tech startup in the country to grow up, and in the later stage they can also reaching out to the regions. Yep. So those are some of the initiatives that we are also working on from Baker Mac.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Okay, so before we end the session, now is around 5:25. So maybe we can ask the speakers over here, what are some of the last advices that you actually give to entrepreneur of internet or actually internet related practitioner here? So businesses as well as individuals. So what are some of the last advices that you would give regarding this topic? Yeah, anyone would like to go first?
Yeah, probably. Let me just kick off first. As I mentioned earlier, I'm more towards on the human side. So I guess that the technology advances, I think one of the few things that any of us who are running our own businesses, I think the first thing that you probably have to take care is the adoptions of technology, because the technology may not necessarily means that it's some hardware or some faster internet speed and everything. I think the adoption is one thing, but the usage must be meaningful. Because I do realize that even some of our clientele, you may give them the best devices, hardware, technologies, or whatever, or even the best software. But the problem is that the usage or the usability tends to be very little. And that becomes a lot of what we know as wastage, digital wastage. So I think the one thing that I could like to advise is that I think if you're a business owner, you probably may want to look into is there a need for the most advanced or most high-tech devices, and while you're advancing your business towards it, make sure that the adoptions by your own employees or own staff are actually able to fully utilize it. Because if they're not able to fully utilize it, then whatever services they're going to roll out down the road, it will show, and it will probably not be so fantastic if it depends on all these, whereas the fundamental foundations is actually not built on. So yeah, that's my advice.
Thank you for that. Anyone would like to go next? Terence?
Yeah, sure. I think I resonate with what Paddy says a lot down there. But even at Lenovo, right, we are transforming ourselves for a big company. In terms of our transformation over the last 24 months, you can see that. But what I'm trying to say is that as for a lot of the startups, innovating companies out there, we need to understand the impact of information technology on everybody's ability to work, to communicate, to interact, or even live, right? It has changed a lot over the last 12 months because of the global pandemic. So things like I mentioned just now, work from home, learn from home, edutech, and all this are not just futuristic notions, but they are everyday reality. And to that point, right, whatever you guys are working on, right, there must be a real demand and a need for that solution. And a lot of technology providers and partners like ourselves out there looking for the right companies to work with and enhance this technological advancement, right? So carry on what you're doing, right? But but look at the customer needs, and a lot of the trends that we share here today hopefully it's right, but I think we see a lot of them are accelerating towards the direction, and that will be a good indication where the industry is heading towards too. Yeah.
Thank you. Alfred, would you like to go next?
Okay, I mean, I wouldn't offer much advice, but I guess I can speak from my own experience as a small business owner. Well, I mean, cash flow is one thing, you know, especially in these times. So I think that's one thing to watch if you're a small business owner, because I mean, with all these digital innovations, you're supposed to get paid faster, right? But you know, there's also the processes, right? I mean, you know, my experience is the finance department. Sorry, this sounds like a complaint, but it's real for small businesses. You know, if you're missing a full stop in private limited, you don't get paid. They will tell you until you ask them why you haven't got paid yet, digital or not. You know, these kind of things gets you, especially small businesses, gets you stuck. Digital is supposed to help, you know, make it seamless, but unfortunately, sometimes there's nobody to ask a question. You know, send your request to this email. Nobody responds to that. You know, 1,000 systems. If you're a small business, you got to interface with a whole lot of people. That means what? You got to be on. Sometimes it's Ariba, sometimes it's somebody else's, you know, what do you call it, system. So it's if the government is another system. So you know, you got to get prepared for that. And finally, of course, debt collection, right? I mean, this is not a technology thing, but debt collection is a thing for small businesses. I mean, you know, I have personal experience of that, and it's not nice. Okay, yeah, but you know, you need to do that all the time. Otherwise, you know, as a small business, you go bust if you don't collect your money back. So I mean, that's I wouldn't say it's advice, but you know, that's my experience. Hopefully that's something helpful. Yeah.
Alfred.
Yes.
Any of the manufacturers here actually owes you money?
No.
Are you dropping hints?
No, I'm speaking generally for small businesses, because you know, you usually can't say no. You can't say no too many times. You know, I don't want your business, right? And so yeah, I mean, you just have to be prepared for that. You know, the credit terms, and as we know, liquidity, I mean, not so bad this time, but during the last crisis, liquidity was an issue, right? The banks are not giving up money. Now interest rates are not that high, but still, you know, there's issues because banks are also careful about who they lend to. You know, so yeah, so you know, either you have problems getting the cash flow from the banks, you know, because they're careful, or the people that owe you money have problems paying you because I can't get the cash flow. So yeah, I mean, it's yeah, I mean, it's something to remember, I guess. It's not a tech issue. I mean, just want to bring up because so many tech advancements, you know, with e-invoicing, with procurement, with everything, you know, everything's supposed to be digital, but you know, the people still get in the way, the processors still do. Yeah.
Rented. Yeah, actually, I do agree with you. Like, even like, for example, if you have like grants that you need to take from the government or this, it's still quite overwhelming for certain grants. You know, when the whole, probably in the context of Singapore, the whole Singapore are probably applying for that. So maybe take that into account when you're doing some budgeting.
And
businesses,
also,
yeah.
Sorry, and also this digital process thing, we some you know, we just, you know, throw people at it sometimes and forget about it, right? I mean, but it doesn't work. Sometimes the thing is, there used to be somebody to call if something doesn't work. And I'll give you an example. Okay, this is from many years ago. So I was trying to get on to get paid by the Singapore government. Usually it's a good paymaster because you get paid always, right? The government doesn't owe you money. You know, if everything's completed, you get paid within a month usually. So but to get on that system, you know, it was not easy. You need to get your tax, you know, everything in place. So so that's one. Unfortunately, I could manage to call somebody. You know, I thought I was very digitally literate, but I actually had to call somebody from the AGC to ask, you know, how do I get on this? You know, because I got some password slip, I don't know how to verify and all that. So it wasn't easy at first. So I mean, even for Singapore, which is very digitally advanced, and you would expect, and I have covered technology for 20 years. I thought I was pretty digitally literate. You know, it's not that easy. I mean, especially when dealing with multiple different systems. Yeah. So I mean, that's one long complaint. Sorry.
Alfred, you can text our finance minister. I can give you the number later. You can just text him and say, hey, you owe me money.
No, I mean, I'm grateful for these digital processors, to be honest, right? I mean, a few years ago, I was still sending paper invoices with company stamps, no joke, right? A few years ago. So things have sort of improved now. You only need a PDF with a signature on it. But yeah, I mean, I'm grateful for that. But just one thing to consider, I guess. Sometimes we expect, in Singapore, sometimes we expect, especially if you were employee before, you kind of expect to be paid on time, right? And if starting out on your own, yeah, you need to kind of expect to get a salary delayed, so to speak.
All right, thanks for that. Ray Datang, do you want to share the last advice for the businesses? Okay.
So actually, as the small and medium enterprise, I think is very, very important because we are lack of resource. So if you are going to do the digital transformation for your company, the most important thing is what kind of cost you are afford to pay for the new technology. That's why even we know there are a lot of very, very excellent solution from the big system integration company like SAP, like the Oracle. But for us a media and small company, you are not afford to pay this kind of service. So in this kind of situation, how to select the right partner and to save your time and cost, I think is very, very important. And how to set a different ecosystem, because if you are go alone with your own team, you cannot imagine what kind of solution the ecosystem already use, what kind of best solution the ecosystem already have in different countries. So I think to set a different ecosystem of the country is very important. So that's why we select BlackStorm. We build up the IOX Hub together. I think the reason we come for the cooperation together is because we know the Asia market grows very fast, and to understanding how to play the role of the business locally is very, very important. So so my advice to assess the right ecosystem is really important for especially you are the media and small enterprise. That's my comment.
Thanks for the tips. Tata, before we move on to the question.
Yeah, just a quick one. I think the key message for everyone, not only for startup but also the big company, is embracing change, because you can see that the speed of change has been accelerating, and then you see how one startup can rise up to become a unicorn has been cutting short of the time much shorter than before, or how a traditional company cannot afford change, that they can be disrupted very quick as well. So I think that is the key message that I would like to share, and also like resonate with the comments from other members. And maybe like one observation that I can see most of the technical co-founder is that I think earlier one of the speakers talking about the business demands, the market demands, the customer demands. I think that is the focus, would be the focus, rather than technology advancement without solving any pain point of customer, which some of us may be driving into too much without realizing that where there is a market demand. I think that is the two quick points I would like to share.
All right. Thank you for the insights. Okay, before now that we actually we will open the floor for any questions, so feel free to comment that. We do have some question around given. Okay, so will there be any security and privacy issue with 5G? Because now there are a lot of data is being involved and being collected. I mean, I understand some of you have already answered that over the chat box. So maybe could we further elaborate on this question? Any privacy or security issue with 5G? Any of the speaker would like to address this question?
I tried to tackle that just now while listening to everybody. I think 5G is really a lot of increased speeds and capability, but it also presents a myriad new challenges, right? But I think for those who understand the 5G capability, some things we can suggest, and Lenovo is working on 5G network slicing, enables you to have new monitoring and detection capability. In addition, with the faster speed, or you have better data backup redundancy, and even within that, because of the breadth of the reach of 5G, you have smaller cells around that you can control, and even a private enterprise can also manage some of it. But it's not foolproof, right? But I think it's a new challenge that we need to take on board.
Just to add, well, as you guys probably know, I saw a company that's doing mobile security. My take here is that the weakest link are usually not the hardware or the network. The weakest link is usually the human. Sad to say, we can actually over time get a bit complacent. So whether is it 5G, 3G, 2G, whatever, I think a lot of the data that are leakage are usually from the user themselves. I mean, whether you download some questionable mobile apps, or maybe someone tell you, hey, click this link, you get a Bitcoin, that kind of stuff. Sad to say, the weakest links are usually human. So as much as there can be a lot of as what this Terence mentioned, you can set up a lot of gatekeeper here and there. But I think eventually, it just probably you still have to boil down to the human activities. So as much as there are a lot of many other things that we can sort of try to prevent this and that, 5G may probably make it. No.
Sorry, you came at the wrong time, I guess. No, it's okay.
Patty, you can unmute yourself to continue.
Yeah. I think someone just accidentally clicked it, right? The fella is probably buying lunch for dinner. Okay.
Go ahead.
So anyway, what I was trying to say is I think 5G may probably make it much easier. Partly is because of it will be integrated into a lot of devices. I think that may actually make it much easier for any users who may have forgotten that you actually authorize devices, and then you actually forgot about it, and you actually allow access to it. I think one of the operating systems that I find that is pretty good is actually from Apple. Apple built a very seriously quite a good ecosystem. So if you try to download a devices, or you try to download apps or whatever, it actually adds into the ecosystem, and then it actually gives you a lot of permission-based settings for you to set. So I think this is something but probably any users who are particularly careful about their personal data need to look into the human side of it rather than on the devices alone. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. There's another question. Has there been any strategic change in your recommendations to your client from the IoT industry? With Singapore on track to roll out 5G by 2025. Any case example? I believe this question is directed to Patty. Anyone would like to address this question?
Hello. Sorry. I think I got mute again. Sorry. Do you mind just repeat the question again?
Yeah. Any strategic change to your recommendations to your client from the IoT industry, especially with Singapore on track to actually roll out 5G in 2025?
I think the short answer of it is that if you're a business owner, it's better to get to know as much as possible on the 5G adoptions. Whether it's from the hardware to the software to the platforms to the cloud computing and all this, I think it's good to know. And at the same time, really have a deep understanding of what is going on and how some of this can actually be applied to both your work and also to your clientele. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you should rush into it. I think one of the biggest problems with a lot of this kind of technology roll up is that the stability may not be 100% there. So it's just like any other teething issue. When 3G was first rolled out or when 4G was first rolled out, sometimes the failure point may not be the network itself, maybe the hardware, maybe the speeds or the hits or something. I think one of the most infamous case studies was that for a lot of devices when they adopted 4G, they did not take into considerations that some of these devices that's always stay connected, it resulted in overheating. And when it's overheating, simply put, your equipment can actually get affected very badly. I think from a business point of view, you should understand what the new technology can bring in, but yet at the same time be practical about it. That there will always be some failure point, especially if a new stuff comes in. So may also need to be more practical that not to fully adopt 100% in a very shortest period of time. Thanks.
Right. I hope this answers Sharon's question. Okay, so another question is, how does MightyNet stand apart from its competitor to become the go-to partner from foreign partners to enter, I believe is Taiwan, to set up manufacturer?
Okay,
Ray, could you answer? Yeah.
So actually, we also discussed how the possibility how we can build out our manufacturing in Vietnam with the Betamax, and I also personal visit Vietnam 2 years ago in the Betamax industrial room. So no matter Vietnam or Taiwan, I think it's a very good place and location to select as a supply chain center, because in Taiwan, for example, there are a lot of the software giants. They already set out their development center here, like Google, like Amazon, like like Microsoft. So if you are interested in build up your own IoT device, I think Taiwan will be a very, very good access point. Taiwan, we don't have the strong marketing here or marketing sites here, but we have very, very complete supply chain from north of Taiwan. And we also have very good transportation system, so you can to visit 4 different supply chain in the same day with our transportation system. So as a MightyNet, we provide not just the IoT development service, we also can provide a high volume and high mix and low volume product manufacturing and assembly service. Even you place a 20-piece order, we can accept, because for us, we are used to build a different kind of automotive product and prototyping. So the small run is not the issue for us. And another benefit is, as I mentioned from our program, you can access the ecosystem very, very quick. And not just Taiwan, we also have different partners from Europe and North American, and also, of course, Singapore. We have IOX Hub, and we have the BlackStorm, and we also have partners like Betamax in Vietnam. So I think it's a very, very easy to access the different ecosystem, especially for IoT and hardware through the MightyNet.
All right, I hope that answered Rebecca's question. Yeah. Okay, any other question from the audience here? Okay, if we do not have any more questions, we will end the session right now. Thank you once again for being with us today, and also thank you the speakers for sharing very insightful details, content about those fields that you are actually very good in. Okay, so do drop us an email if you have not registered under Eventbrite, if you would like to receive the materials that we covered today, and also additional details about those sharing that we have. Okay, thank you very much.